Hey everybody, Noah from Corporate Streams. Today I'm going to take you through a behind the scenes look at one of our productions, and we're going to talk about all the gear and the technical things that go into a live stream. We were at IMTS for 6 days in a row, 8 hours a day streaming, getting lots of content, and it was about a year's worth of content. So let's talk about the tech that went into that. So first we're going to start with our streaming box. This has 4 wireless receivers, which we use with these Sennheiser microphones. Those go into a little L8 mixer that will probably get upgraded eventually. And we do have an ATEM Mini Extreme ISO as our switcher. As you probably know, technology always upgrades and changes. So we do have the ATEM SDI Extreme ISO as our switcher today. We are not using the Extreme ISO that's built into the case because eventually that will be upgraded. So that's why we have all of the SDI RAN. We are using bird dog cameras, but we are using SDI instead of NDI for that setup. So working my way down this list here, like I said, audio switching. We do have PTZ controls over network. So you type in the IP address and we have that there. We did have the joystick or the keyboard from Bird Dog, but this actually did not work well for us. And I'll tell you more why on my channel. So stay tuned for that. But we went to the web interface for that. We're using Livestream Studio 6 for our encoding software and also for our graphics. So we're running that. You'll see just above me, we bought a cheap television for multi-view, not the best option. The resolution wasn't very great, so we'll upgrade that in the future. We are using Hollyland C1 headsets, right? So we have 8 of these that can go to the director and the crew members. So I think we used 6 out of the 8 for this small production. Worked pretty well. So yeah, like I said, graphics and streaming on this computer. This next MacBook Air is a playback machine. So audio, DME, right, or playback, we use that on this machine. This machine was our editing machine. So Jason, our editor, was working on this, doing DIT work, all that fun stuff. Now you do see a Rodecaster and a podcast mic here. So we did have an IFB or an in-ear monitor for our talent, so we could talk to the talent. We use this device as well. So we could basically bring up talkback when we need to and then drop that. We did have program return going to those IFBs for our talent so that they can hear themselves and the guest. It is kind of a louder environment. So lastly, here we have another MacBook Air. This was for the producer, so they could look at the script, run a show, all that kind of fun stuff. And last but not least in the studio, I wanted to bring you back one more time. We did use a little webcam for a behind the scenes look here. This is the Link from 360, and it's a $300 camera, 1/2-inch sensor. We use that for a behind the scenes camera, a little quick PTZ. So you'll see that throughout the programming as well. So we're going to slowly head backwards and go over to what we called the cube, the box, the fishbowl, right? That's where we had the talent and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and head over that way now. I will say on the way over, we did have Justin on our Steadicam rig. That's what we're shooting on now. We did fly with this stand. And so between takes, he would put his Steadicam rig on this stand. It was nice to wheel it around and get the weight off his body, right? So we're going to go ahead and show you outside here. We did have a television for the audience to view, some couches out here. And then let's talk about the tech inside the booth. So right away, you'll see the booth is about 15 by 10, something like that. We did have lots of cameras and lots of microphones because we had lots of people in this space. So let's start with the microphones. It's probably the easiest thing. So our primary microphones are going to be the Rode pod mics on the Elgato low profile arms. And so this podcast setup was really nice. Because there's a lot of loud industrial equipment going on in this convention. So we had to have microphones as close to the source as possible. So that was super helpful to have this. The low profile arms did wonderful. Even though tightening and loosening them was a little bit difficult with this peg here. But overall, I like this. The microphone sounded great, especially at that distance. And they could also swing out of the way, so it's nice and easy. Now, we did have obviously these 2 microphones here. And then in the center, we go back to those Shure SM58s, those wireless, right, microphones that we use with that fly kit. So we have 4 of these as well. So that's a total of 6 microphones. There were times where we had 8 or 10 people in this room, right? And so we would have them pass the mic at that point. And I will point out that just above us, we do have paddle antennas to help receive the signal up above us. And those paddle antennas caught those microphones. We had very little to no interference, which was great. And there wasn't a lot of other live streaming or other productions happening around here, which is cool. I'll have to say my background as a videographer, filmmaker, live stream person was mostly on fixed cameras, right? Or FS5s are my primary camera. But in this production, we did introduce Bird Dog cameras to our production, and they worked fairly well when we got them working. I'll have a full review on my channel of what worked and didn't work with those. But let me just quickly go around the room and point out each one of the cameras that's in here and what they were used for. We do have an FS5 just over my shoulder here. This was a good reverse wide shot that showed the crowd but also showed the folks here as a reverse. That's what we called camera 5. Let me work backwards here. So to my left is camera 4. Thanks, Justin, for turning. That's a PTZ there. That's a great kind of angled shot there. It's called a PFP 120, I believe. So that was a great camera we can control and set presets to. And then just over Justin's right shoulder, he'll have to turn all the way around for this one. We have another FS5. This was fixed on a wide shot. We're using the 35mm with a speed booster. Which did pretty well. I think I would have brought the 24 next time around just to get a little bit wider. Coming back around, and we're going to swing all the way to the center camera, which is camera 2, another PTZ from Bird Dog. This one was getting a nice wide shot. Also, we got singles on the couch, so you can kind of punch in. That's one really nice thing about Bird Dog is you can get those presets built out and just press a button, and then the camera will snap over to that. So then finally, we have one more camera in the room, and it's on my right side, and that's our camera 1. I usually name the cameras from left to right facing the stage, right? And so our camera 1 was another Bird Dog. The color doesn't matter. They're the same camera between black and white. Yeah, and then top it all off, behind the couch, you won't see it here, but we do have a Netgear M4250 switch, which helps control and connect all those cameras together. You can set VLANs and different things on that, which are still things that I'm learning and developing in. I will mention we didn't talk about lights yet, so let's do that. So we do just above us have some light panels. They're about 1 by 1, and they're the older aperture lights. They have a diffusion on the front, and so we have 1 in each corner of the room, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and they're set. The front 2 are set to 100%, and the back 2 are set to 50%. So because we were lighting a large space and lots of people, we went ahead and just did large soft lighting from afar, and that worked pretty well. These cameras perform pretty well under the low light conditions, and obviously our FS5s do pretty well as well. So that's kind of a quick technical overview of what we did for the setup and the gear that we used. We did have Austin, who was doing audio and video, right? So he's switching. I was running graphics, streaming, and PTZs. And then Justin was in the field with the Steadicam running with our host, Mary. So if we were to do this again, I would highly recommend not having just 2 crew members try to run this whole show. There's too many moving parts and we did miss a lot of things. We were trying to be budget conscious for this kind of pilot episode, but in the future, I would say a minimum of 4 people to run this many cameras with graphics, with streaming, with all those elements. And then for the field crew, I would say a minimum of 3 people, right? Your camera operator, a producer, and then your talent of some sort. Those are the learnings that we have from this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. To find out more, you can check us out at corporatestreams.com. Thanks for watching.